Hello everyone, welcome to this two-part series tutorial on Android MySQL PHP programming using Kotlin. At the end of the session, you should be able to modify the existing navigation drawer project that we did in the past exercise, and then you're going to work on activities and fragments, and you will learn how to pass data across your app activities using the object file. And then you're going to display the data using recycle view and card view in Android. You're going to utilize the data model and the data adapter classes. And then you're going to perform CRUD, create, read, update, and delete data into and from your MySQL through PHP using POST request. And then you're going to send POST request using the HTTP URL connection class. And then we're going to read the response from our web server using the buffer reader, and we're going to parse and read the data using the JSON tokener class. And then to handle asynchronous tasks, we will be using the coroutines in handling tasks to avoid your app from freezing up. Just to give you the overview of the app that we're going to do or to develop this time. So in this app, the user can connect to MySQL through PHP, and then it will enable the user to log into the app and also perform CRUD, create, read, update, and delete a user's information. For now, we'll be working on a single table called users, which I will discuss to you later. And you can progress later on with your own project and work on different tables. So your app also will enable you to update your own password, your own user password. Now, for you to be able to do this practical, we have some prerequisites to meet. First, you should have your previous practical on navigation drawer. If you don't have it, this manual provides the link where you can download the previous practical. And you will need a web service account. Let's say, for example, you should create your account in the 00webhost.com. Or if you don't have the account, you can test your application using your local machine, and you can use your SAMP application installed into your laptop. And of course, we need our PHP scripts for querying our MySQL database. For testing purpose, you can go to 00webhost.com, and this is good for testing your application before you deploy it with your actual web server and before you deploy it with your actual database. So 00webhost provides free domain names and domain hosting or web hosting with complete support on tools like MySQL Designer and also how to upload your files in your web server. So I have my Google account here. You can sign up actually using your Google account, and then you just have to authorize 00webhost later and link it with your Google account. So I did the registration. This is straightforward actually. It's not easy to register using your Google account. So once you log in using your Google account, it will provide you the link for the host name or the domain name, the domain name that you have selected earlier or provided earlier during the registration. Just click this link and it will lead you to your homepage. It says this is the domain name that you obtained during registration. So I don't have yet the indexed file because I don't have planned to use this as a website, but instead for testing my Android application. So just click this link here to create an indexed file. Actually, we just have to circumvent that link to upload our PHP scripts. So once you press that link, it will lead you to the panel here on the left side. It says Tools. So these are the two tools that you will be using to connect your Android application to your web service. So you need the file manager to upload your PHP scripts, and you will need the database manager to create your database. So this requires your prior knowledge on PHP programming and also your prior knowledge on database management system. So let me introduce to you first the files here for the file manager. So just click upload to see your web default folder for your documents. So mostly you have to upload your PHP scripts on the public HTML. If you work with a SAMP, you know this one. And then you can create subfolders inside to hold your, let's say if you have various applications and you have various scripts, it is better to group them into folders. So I have created a folder here called Android, and inside Android I have the scripts. So I have the script for user login, and I have the script for users. So the user login basically is, of course, to help us authenticate the user. So the user will log in using the email and the password, and then we are going to pass those requests using post method, and then we're going to query the database. So we have created here a method called login, and the job of this function is just to query the database and check if the email and password entered by the user using our Android application match with that or with those stored in the database. So if the email and password matched, then it will return a JSON array, which we're going to parse later using a JSON tokener. Or if there's no match, it will give us a message. It will say no user found, which we will um, display later using, let's say, for example, toast. And then we have here another PHP script. This time we'll perform CRUD here, create, read, update, and delete user account. So again, we have add, we have update, we have update password, we have delete, and we can also go with search. And if you want to display all the users, we have the functions related to those. So this is the add user, and then this is the update user, and it is your update password, so on and so forth. You can modify these PHP scripts later to custom fit your project. Let's say you can replace users with products, then you can have your product name, quantity, so on and so forth. So you can just replace these fields later on. You just have to make sure that these fields match your database design. So if you're familiar with PHP-MyAdmin, this is the same. The interface is the same. You can manage your database tables and databases using PHP-MyAdmin here. So I have a database that I have created earlier, and I have one table inside this database. As I mentioned earlier, we will be working with one table only for this time. So we have users, and for the users table, I have user ID, full name, user type, and email and password as the field names. If you will notice, I did not encrypt the password. It will take advanced topics. So for now, for the sake of just demonstrating how to connect your mobile app with your MySQL using through PHP, this is enough for now. In the future, we will work with advanced techniques on how to, of course, secure your application and encrypt your passwords. That will be another session in the future, God willing. So the same way on how you create your database using SAMP, using PHP-MyAdmin, the same way you will do it in here. So we need these things later, and we need these scripts later. I'll provide you the link for this soon. Then you can download and you can customize and modify it according to your projects. So for now, this is enough. And if you want to test your work, you can go with some later. Let's now proceed to the next step. Let's go with the preparation phase. For the preparation phase, you need to download the navigation drawer project that we did in the past. So if you haven't finished it, you can just click this link to get the finished version of the project, the navigation drawer that we modified last time. So just click this one and download the file. So once you've downloaded it, just put it in the desktop, put the downloaded file in the desktop, copy that one and place it in the desktop. Okay, so we have now the file. We already downloaded this practice on navigation drawer. Unzip it, extract it, then go with extraction. So once this is extracted, so you will see now this file. Okay, so the next step is we need to rename the file that we have downloaded. We need to rename it and we need to refactor. So you just have to follow the step. We need to rename first the folder into Android-PHP-MySQL, and then we're going to refactor the projects. So you just have to go with the app Java project name and then refactor and then rename, select choose all directories, and then replace the old project name to Android PHP. We know it. File name are all capitals. They start with capital letters. And project name is always small caps. So we know this one. This is the naming conventions when it comes to Android projects. Now we need to modify the Gradle, the build Gradle, the module app, and replace the old project name with the new one, which is Android PHP MySQL here. And also we need to open the settings Gradle so that we could replace the root project name into Android PHP MySQL. So please remember, Android project would be capital letters, you start with capital letters, and the package name or the project name that you will be compiling later should be having small letters all throughout. So let's do it. Go to your Android, open Android Studio. Open Android Studio and click open. So once you press open, this dialog will show. And then go to desktop because we saved it there, our project. And then try to locate this project we have created earlier in the desktop. Okay, so just go with there. So just locate the project from the desktop, which is this one, which is this one, Practical 6A Navigation Drawer. Just press OK, Trust, and then Trust Projects. So this will load now, Android Studio. Wait for the Gradle to finish. So once the Gradle is complete, you can now start changing the name of the project. Let's start first with the project name. So drop down or expand Java, and then you will see this, right? It's still using the old name of the project. So just right click this and go to refactor and rename, select all directories, and then change this into the new file name, which is Android PHP MySQL. So this is now the new project name. Then press refactor. Wait for the changes to be applied. So it's now changed here. So the next step is we need to change the Gradle scripts. So go down here and then click this Gradle build module app as indicated in the PowerPoint. Click this one and replace this with the name, with the new name of your project, which is this Android PHP MySQL. So we need to change it with this one. Okay, just simply copy this and put it in here. So replace this one. Type it as it is, Android PHP, Android, PHP, MySQL. Type it as it is. Copy this one, replace this, Control V, then try to look on the other instances of the old project name. So I think this is enough. Save your work. The next step is we need to go with the settings Gradle. In the settings Gradle, same thing, we need to change the project name. So we will call it Android with a capital letter, PHP, and then MySQL. So this one will show on top of the Android project later once it's done. So this is it. Save your work. And then the next step is you need to sync your projects. As indicated in the PowerPoint presentation, you need to sync the project. So file, sync project with Gradle files here. So just go with file here and then look for sync project with Gradle files, this one here. So wait for the Gradle to happen, and after that you will see now the project was renamed on top, and then everything is changed. So save your work. Let's move to the next step. So since we have the old names for the themes, we need to replace it also. So we have to use a new naming instead of the navigation drawer project name. We have to replace it with Android-PHP-MySQL, our new project name. So just go to res, go to values, then themes, and then themes.xml, then replace everything with Android-PHP-MySQL. Open Android Studio, go to app, go to res, go to values, go to themes. Select the one on top, this one here. So replace all the instances of practice 6 navigation drawer into the new name, which is similar here on top, the title of your project. So replace this one with Android PHP MySQL. So better to copy this and replace all the instances of this old project name into that. Same here, you just have to change it. We have to change it also. So look at all the instances of the old project name and make sure they were replaced with the new project name. So save your work, continue saving your work. Now, let's proceed to the next step, which is let's change now the up bar mains XML's theme. So go to res, then layout, and then open the up bar main XML, and then replace it with Android PHP MySQL. Go with the project. And with the Android here. This one here. So go to layout and then go to app bar. Look for app bar, which is this one. We have to change the theme of this. Go to the code here and then look for the instance of the old project name and just replace it with the new project name, which is PHP. It will show in here. It says Android PHP MySQL. Just click this. It will be replaced. And then just copy this. Then click this and Control V. Just try to check if everything was replaced properly. Make sure that all the instances of the old project name were replaced with the new project name. Then save it. Then let's proceed to the next step. So Let's try to replace the contents of the strings XML so that you don't need to type or you don't need to hard code the labels and the contents of your text boxes and um, labels and text boxes. So just download this file, and then replace the contents of the strings XML. So just click this link, and if we are allowed to copy it, just try to copy, and then go to your project, go to values, then strings, delete the content of this, and replace it with the value of our strings, okay, the one we copied from the website. So save it. So this will be the captions and text to be displayed on our labels in our edit text, in our text views and edit text. So just save the work, and let's proceed to the next step. Let's now create the login activity. So to do this, we need to add a new empty activity and name it login activity. So we know how to do this. Just expand the project name and then right click and then add a new activity. So go back to Android. So just expand Java and then expand your project. Right click this, new, go to empty activity here. Click this one and then call it login activity. Then press finish. So once you have added a new activity, you will have the Kotlin file. Then you will also have the XML file here for the layouts. Now, let's proceed to the next step. So just to save time, instead of manually designing this, all you have to do is to download this text file and copy and paste it to the activity login XML to generate the design for us. So just click this and it will give us this contents here. Just copy the contents, copy this content and paste it into our layout here. Go to code, delete all of this and paste that one. Okay. So if you will notice, the design is not properly showing because we need to modify a little bit because we have used the Poppins font and we have to tell or we have to import Poppins so that it can be used into our UI design. So go back to the Android Studio here. So go to the design and go to the component tree. Sometimes the component tree is not loaded by default. Just press this one here and it will be expanded like this. So just select any of the text view or edit text here. Okay, and then locate the font. You will see here it says font. So click this one down. If you will notice, Poppins is not added here. So we need to add it manually. So go to more fonts here and then type Poppins. And then we will select the regular one, this. Poppins here and then the regular here. Press OK. So once it is done, you will see partial view of the interface. If you will notice, still the interface for the login is not showing properly because we still need to work on other prerequisites in order for us to display the screen properly. We need to do some steps further. Next, for us to be able to enable our application to access the network and the internet, we need to add permission into our Android manifests XML file. So the first permission here will allow us to access the internet, and the second permission here will allow us, of course, to get the status of the network. Sometimes we are connected to the internet, but we don't have we're connected to the network, but we don't have internet connection. So in this case, we have to be notified with the status of the network. And I made mention earlier that you can test your application using your local host, your own laptop, or you can connect to your local area network. By default, Android suggests you to connect to HTTPS, secured connection, and then the URL of the site that you want to connect. Now, if you want to access HTTP and the IP address followed by the IP address here, let's say 192.168, so on and so forth, then you have to activate this one. So this one will enable us to test our application locally using localhost and using your local area network using plain IP address and running on HTTP. And then we need to change the entire theme of our project. So replace the old project name with the new project name that we have created earlier in the theme, which is Android-PHP-MySQL. Similarly, we need to change the main activities Android theme into no action bar. So just go to the Android Studio and do the things here. Let me just have to unexpand this. Go to manifest folder, then click this one. Okay, then go here. So just type uses, and if you will notice, Android will do the autocomplete for you. No need to type everything. Just click permission. Then it will tell you in here Android name, and then what permission you want to access. So we will see internet here. Just click it. It will autocomplete for you. Then close it. Next. Add the next one, uses permission again, and then Android name, the access network state. Just click this and then close. So we're done with the permission for the network. Let's now proceed to the permission to use clear text traffic. So let's have to put a space here below the supports RTL equals true. Then add this line, Android uses clear text. It's highlighted on top. Just press tab to complete it and then set it to true. And then as I've told you earlier, replace the old theme name into our new project. Okay, go with Android MySQL. Okay. Now change the main activities action bar and theme. So change this one into Android PHP MySQL. Then no action bar. That's it. So it was now changed. But the problem now is when we run this project, the application will run and will launch the main activity as the startup activity. So let me run this and let's see what happens next. So this is the old project. Let me just have to close this. Okay, if you will notice, when we run the project, the startup activity is the main activity, correct? But we want the project to start with the login activity as our startup or our main or our first activity in our app. So let me just have to close this. So we need to switch now. We need to switch to login activity as the launcher activity or the main or the first activity or startup activity into our application. So again, we have to go to the Android manifest XML and just switch the position of the main activity and the login activity. So how you will know that an activity is the first or the startup activity in your application? Simply try to check the activity having intent filter tags. So once the activity is having this, it means that activity is the startup activity. So we need to switch the two. In this example, you will see that in the Android Studio project, the one having the intent filter is the main activity. That's why it means this activity, which is the main activity, is our startup activity or the first activity to launch when we run the application. So just switch the two. So replace main activity with login activity and then change this one with main activity. So what happens now? Login activity will become the first activity to run in our project. Same, we need to add this. We need to add this one at the end of the main activity. Just copy this one and paste it in here. And then close this activity here, close activity. Okay, so we have to close the activity here. That's it. So we have to make both of them to be no action bar and no action bar here. So save your work. Now let's try to run the project and let's see what happens now. So if you will notice, when we run the project, it started with the login instead of the main activity or the main window. So we're done with the preparation phase. We can now proceed to the next step, which is how do we work with the MySQL connectivity. So that would be for the next session. Thank you and goodbye.